not a political statement. It's a patriotic duty.
And the editors of great newspapers, such as yours, owe a common obligation to the people.
But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream.
What are you people? On dope?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
Dude, I was dying laughing. Dude, I was dying laughing when I was watching the Tread movie. They go over the Marvin Heemeyer tape when he's like, "Is this why you didn't want me to have kids? So I wouldn't have a family when I do this?" To lead, like,
yeah, I was talking to God.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, is this me? Like, am I gonna be fucking building a bulldozer someday or something? Like, what the
fuck?" So here's what we didn't get into that I wanted to get into, right? He was a military guy. He was in the Air Force.
Why did you bring it up?
He joined the Air Force because it seemed like the conversation was going elsewhere, and it wasn't really about Marvin Heemeyer. I didn't get the vibe that he wanted to. He entered the Air Force in 1969.
So you think he was MK Ultra?
I think he was MK Ultra
to do this.
Now look at who.
But what would give you that evidence? Like that he would. What was the MK
in
Ultra?
1974, there was a movie called Killdozer that came out. Legit, a movie called Killdozer that came
1974?
out. In 1974. In 1993, you had the Branch Davidian thing that happened, right? In 1996, the Oklahoma City bombing. He was right in between those in 1994, and he was right before Ted Kaczynski went on his spree. Ted Kaczynski, I think, happened in 1995.
So you're saying that he was in that same crew with all them?
Yeah. I think in one way or another, they were all...
And they were going to set this up that Granby was going to fuck him?
And then they had someone like Ted Kaczynski, right?
But then why would they cover it up with Reagan, though?
I think Reagan kind of made it go away because he was going to be looked to like a folk hero. So
why would they MK Ultra him to do that?
The Reagan thing could be completely just my theory. That's nothing set in stone. It's just super. How many coincidences before you can't fucking say that coincidences are
Yeah, but why would you program this guy that could bring people to be like, holy shit, my government's fucking me too. Let's revolt against the government.
I don't think it went the way they wanted it to go. I don't think Ted Kaczynski went the way that they wanted it to go. I think this guy got away. He lived in the town next door. He loved snowmobiling, hanging out, and he wasn't the type of person that would go with what he was being programmed to do, if he was being programmed to do anything, or if he was programmed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm trying to make sense of it. It makes sense in my head, but when it comes out of my mouth, it doesn't make sense anymore. I think that because of the time that he had been in the military, he was from nowhere. He was from South Dakota, I think.
South Dakota, yep.
And he enlisted in the military. He had no, names behind him or anything like that. They said, "Let's."
Did he have a family?
His family was nobody in particular. He moved away from his family to live in Colorado because he liked being near the base. He was on base in Colorado, so he said, "All right, let's stay here." I think that he was MK Ultra in the military. He was some sort of experiments or psychological something or other was going on with that guy to get him to react the way that he did, and they could have programmed him to do this exact same thing. Considering that in 1974, he still would have been in the military, right? That would have been his last year.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years he served because all this information is not there for him. I haven't seen it. I've tried.
Have you really dug deep?
I've tried DuckDuckGoing it a million different ways and can't find anything about it. But I think he was MK Ultra in the military, and this was just him snapping.
Did you search like Marv Heemeyer MK Ultra?
Oh yeah. I've done every single.
Did anything come up?
Military service came up, and then a whole bunch of shit about MK Ultra came up, and that's it.
So stuff from him and MK Ultra came up?
Not him and MK Ultra. Stuff just about him, and then stuff about MK Ultra, and everything about him is written from the biased point of view of the Thompsons and the Dochef's affiliates in the media.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah.
That's why he drove through the media, the newspaper, didn't he?
Yeah, that was his last hit before he ended up going into the general store, hitting the basement, puncturing the radiator, and that was.
That's interesting that he punctured the radiator because everybody thought he blew through the basement.
Well, the way that I saw it, and I don't remember what he was saying, but the way that I saw it was when he demolished the building, he hit a stairwell or something and went right down into the basement. And when
when he did that, he punctured the radiator.
Punctured the radiator, so there could have been rebar coming up or something like that, and that's what did it.
I would have liked to see how far he would have. Where would he have gone next?
I don't know.
But he just did his job, and then that was planned.
He
was his last.
Went after everybody that fucked him.
Yeah, but then the last place that the last person that fucked him, that's the store that takes him down.
I don't know.
And then he just shoots himself in the head?
Was it though? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he was going to go after someone else that fucked him too.
Did you listen to his tapes?
Yeah.
You liked it?
Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was.
Do you think he was nuts?
Insightful. No.
No, me either.
No, I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
And he didn't kill anybody else?
No, he knew exactly. He planned that out. He sold his property. Whoever he sold it to, let him keep that.
He sold it to the Thompsons.
No, he didn't. It was another company that he sold it to. He sold it out of spite, so he didn't give it to the Dochefs. The Dochefs, the land that they were on, they were renting it from the Thompsons, and that's how the Thompsons got involved in all of it, because they were the landlords for the Dochefs. The Dochefs wanted to buy the property that Heemeyer was on. He wanted to sell it for an astronomical amount at the time, like $300,000 or something like that. And then he kept going up, and he was going back and forth. They own that land. The Dochefs own that land that Marvin's muffler shop was on.
Right.
The reason why they lost that land was because the FDIC fucked them all. The FDIC closed all these local banks that these people were paying their mortgages to for their land. And then these banks closed and disappeared with no information as to where to pay your mortgage to. So these people, what they said was, fuck it, I'm not going to pay my mortgage. They don't want to tell me where to pay it. I'm just not going to pay it. So then when everything got all straightened out and the FDIC split ways with these banks and these banks closed, the FDIC said, oh fuck, we have all this property that nobody's paying on. You owe me 5 years of mortgage payments. Of back payments. Yeah, pay up. They couldn't pay up, so they foreclosed on all this land. The Dochefs own the 2 acres that Marvin Heemeyer's muffler plant was on, and they lost it because of those foreclosures. So not only did the town hate him because he was an outsider coming in, they hated him because he won that property on an auction that was an FDIC auction, and Dochef owned that land and was bidding on that property, and Heemeyer,
to buy his land
Heemeyer outbid him. Yeah, Heemeyer outbid him. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I've been recording this, so I'm glad that makes sense, because that came out of my mouth perfectly. Yes. Yeah, they muscled him the fuck out. They pulled an Austin Corbett on him. So they ended up buying all the property around him, so he didn't even have as much of a fucking driveway.
And he thought he was getting out 5 years of payments and just going to rebuy his land for $42,000. And then
he thought,
money.
He had somebody else that was a business associate of him bid because he couldn't bid because it was his land that was foreclosed on. So there's no way that the bank that he got foreclosed on.
Oh, and then he would have bought it from that guy for like
back. Yeah, exactly. He would have bought it from that guy for whatever whatever it was. $50,000 was the max, I guess it was. And Heemeyer went over that, and the guy that was buying it only had a set amount of cash, whatever it was. I don't remember if it was $50,000 or not.
Well, he bought it for $42,000.
So because Heemeyer spent more than the guy could afford that was buying the land, Dochef.
He won the money. They won the land.
And that's why Dochef got pissed, and that's why the Thompsons got pissed, because the Thompsons were going to probably give the property to Dochefs once they got all the acreage in. So it was a muscling out of Heemeyer. A total fucking muscling out of Heemeyer.
But they had everybody in their back pocket.
Well, the Thompsons were the mayor of the town. One of the Thompson, whoever it was the acting sitting mayor.
He's probably like, what the fuck?
And then he goes bonkers And Ronald Reagan dies the day after he goes bonkers.
How would they have stopped and just waited until he ran out of gas? And just let him kill himself?
He had a ton of gas. I can't imagine that thing uses a ton of gas. It moves so slow. It's not like those friggin' pistons firing and shit. That thing was a straight up demolition machine.
We just kept going till he got bored?
I can't believe that he went to California and bought that on auction.
For cheap,
and was like, yeah, I'm just going to use this to build a driveway so I can get in and out of my property that I just got cut off from.
He felt so stupid.
It's the greatest.
Dude, in the Tread documentary, they talk about it. It's like, in the middle of the night, there's Heemeyer orders a fucking tractor and it gets delivered in the middle of the night.
He would go in.
And they parked it right out in front just to troll them.
A whole inch of concrete, right? So it was a half inch on one side, a half inch on the other side, filled up with what? Like Quikrete? Was he mixing that shit in like a friggin' 5-gallon Homer bucket?
I mean, because he was pouring it in between the steel.
Yeah.
So it was like steel welded to steel with concrete in the middle.
Yeah.
It was fucking unstoppable.
And then he puts the sights so he can see with video. He's controlling the whole thing.
Yeah, and then they said, like, because he knew he'd have all the debris on it.
Yeah.
That he actually hooked up air compressors to the camera lens so it would blow the fucking debris off the camera lens. So he'd be able to see. Dude, the guy's a fucking genius.
When did he start recording those tapes? I think he recorded those tapes
like a couple years before. I think.
So he was plotting this for a long fucking time. He was dealing with no shitter in his place.
Yeah,
and he was dealing with getting.
And he was still fighting them constantly.
Couldn't go in. Yeah, unreal. American hero.
Nobody even knows him.
He did what everybody fucking dreams of doing.
I know, seriously. I remember that when it happened. Like, I was young and I heard, like, it was like some people were talking about it or something. It was like, guy took a bulldozer and, like, destroyed a town.
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, like, I was really young, but I do remember, like, someone took a bulldozer through the town. And then, like, you know, whatever, I'm a kid. That was cool. That's awesome. But now, like, and then I remember Reagan dying because I was in, you know, high school.
Yeah.
And so it was right around it was this, the day after.
Yeah, I'm convinced in my head, and you can ask me why, and I can't fucking back it up with anything, that Reagan was going to die. I think the process was sped up because of this. I really do. But
was it going to take off that much?
I think so. This guy went apeshit on everybody that pissed him off. Copycats would be abundant.
Yeah, but nobody would be able to make something like that.
Yeah, I think he was MK Ultra'd, and I think he snapped. I think they just disregarded him. All right, he's living in, you know, Granby, Colorado, which is in the middle of friggin' nowhere. He's, you know, not going to be a big deal. Yeah, he was a big deal. Him and Kaczynski, boom, one after another. I think they were like a year apart.
Fucking snap, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like the military, like MK Ultra'd, and Kaczynski was like the Harvard smart guy, social, you know, in the social circles and whatnot. You know, he was making it somewhere. He was a different kind, and they had the same result, and that was the experiment. Then we can talk about Timothy McVeigh, right around the same time too, all in that era.
That was at 96.
Yeah, if you look at the timeline of all the shit that's happened, like these crazy whacked out events, serial killers happened around the same time, right? In the 60s and the 70s.
None of this shit really happens now.
Everything has like its pockets of time to create these.
When do you ever hear of like, serial killers running loose in Boston? Like, you don't really hear about that.
Not recently. You'd hear about like sexual gropers and.
Yeah, but you'd never hear fucking.
The one thing at Harvard that was big when I worked there was the Phantom Masturbator. That's what he was nicknamed. He would jump out of the bushes. When girls walking through Harvard Yard at night, he would jump out of the bushes supposedly and start whacking off. Yeah.
And then
like a trench coat. Like they made him out to be like wearing a trench coat or something like that, you know?
Did he have a mask?
I don't think it fucking existed. You know? I really don't. I don't think it existed.
Was Harvard that liberal?
It was super liberal. We talked about this before. It was liberal. The kids were cool, man.
Are they really not as liberal as you think?
Yeah, the kids and the parents and the families. Oh yeah, they're all Republicans looking to fucking blow up countries for gasoline. But a lot of them were like blue collar working families and stuff like that.
So where's the alt lefts that are there?
You'd see Black Lives Matter signs in windows and stuff like that, and I'm sure they're like sleeper cells. Where's the skull and bones of Yale? They're not out there in the streets, parading around. It's all there, It's
so are you saying Harvard is a predominantly Republican school? Minus the faculty?
At its like root core, yeah. I would say something like that, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, industrial complex school. It's a corporation.
All money there.
There's a building where they call the Harvard Corporation, and they're the ones that make all the rules and check the endowment and decide where shit's going. And who's
What's
doing
their
what.
endowment? A couple billion, right?
Huh?
Their endowment's like a couple billion, right?
When I was there, it was $60 billion. And they did huge layoffs and everything during the 2008 housing crash. When that bubble blew, that they didn't need to do it. They always fuck with the food service and the facilities department and all these groups that keep the school running. All right, I'm gonna do this at home. I can't even concentrate on this now. I might cut out that Heemeyer stuff.